Yep, we're getting ready for the big Georgia-Florida game, and kids are working hard, and always a big matchup in the East when these two play down in Jacksonville, and I think it'll be interesting to see the dynamic of the crowd and how whether it feels different from traditional Georgia-Florida games. We'll see.
Coach, we'll begin with Matt Baker of the Tampa Times.
Hey, Kirby, what are the biggest kind of adjustments and biggest changes that Todd Monken's brought to the offense?
I would say basically the way we structure things in terms of getting a game plan together, putting the whole staff together, giving assignments to each guy, and bringing together a total plan. Probably has shrunk some of what we carry each game. A lot of that has to do with the youth of our offense in terms of not trying to carry too much and then not be able to use it. There's only so many games in a play, so you can't carry too many things. And then some concepts in the passing games are different.
Thank you.
Next is Gene Fernandes of the Florida Junior.
Hey, Kirby. Listen, I know you were only like 7 years old when you moved to Bainbridge, Georgia. I don't know if you even have any childhood memory of the Buck Bellew to Lindsey Scott play, or whether you just sort of learned it as time moved on and you were in Georgia and went to Georgia. Do you have any memory of that play as a child? And if not, what is your feeling about a play that had such a one of the most monumental plays in the history of college football?
No, I do not remember it from my youth. I don't know at what point I saw it or acknowledged it. I don't really remember that. Obviously, I think upon my arrival here, my freshman year, it became more prevalent. Larry Munson's voice, when you're a player here, you hear that iconic voice, and to hear some of the things that was one of his greatest calls. So I would say that's my first experience with it was when I was here as a player.
Now that you are the head coach, though, at the University of Georgia, you must have some sort of feel of what that is like for the people around there in terms of the memory. Just because it's if you look at a place like Ole Miss or LSU, whatever, it might be the Billy Cannon run. But for Georgia folks, Bellew to Scott, you need to say no more. And I'm just wondering, what is your feeling about how that one play just sort of uplifted a fan base and still? Here we are 40 years later, and it's still being talked about.
Yeah, I'm concerned with this game that I don't get to think about it very often, to be honest with you. It's so different as a coach because you're around so many of the players I recruit and even our staff. So few people were part of that. It's part of our tradition and history, and an unbelievable season because we honored that team opening up the season in Arkansas, and so it's not something that I think about a lot right now in terms of preparing for this game.
Thank you.
Next is Chip Towers of the AJC.
Coach, I'm not sure if we touched on this before, but just obviously Brenton Cox is there at Florida now. You didn't have much to say when he originally left. I doubt if you have a lot now, but just can you talk about losing a player to a rival program, and then just the X and O's have come to of how you guys will need to defend him on Saturday.
Yeah, Brenton's playing really well. He's an explosive pass rusher, really good player like he was coming out of high school. He plays really hard. He's hard to block. Todd does a good job of putting him in situations where he gets to rush. What he's really good at is rushing the passer like all the Florida guys they've had have passed. They've always had the really good edge rusher type guys. So he's playing really well for him. He's playing physical and playing hard. He'll create some issues for us Saturday. We've got to do a good job knowing where he's at.
Is it aggravating on any level when you recruited a guy and invested all that in him, and now you got to face him?
No, I wouldn't say it's aggravating. It's a choice and decision that each kid has to make.
Thank you, Kirby.
Next is Edgar Thompson, Orlando Sentinel.
Yeah, hey, Kirby. Cadarius Toney, just how much more of a threat has he become this year from what you've seen in past years?
Much more. I mean, he was always good, and I thought Dan always used him, but Dan had more weapons around him when he was younger because he had other good players, between the likes of Swain and the other guys, Tyree, and he's had some really good wideouts, Jefferson. But now it's like he's a more polished receiver on top of the utility stuff. He's extremely hard to tackle. He's got extreme quickness, one-step quickness, and he plays powerful. Like when people hit him, he doesn't go backwards. He's physical in what he does, and he's become a better receiver. I mean, they're using him really well.
Kyle Pitts, how much attention does a guy like that draw from a defense?
Well, I mean, you got to know where he's at. Certainly, he's extremely talented. I mean, he was extremely talented last year. I mean, he's only gotten better. Seems like he's gotten a little bigger, a little more physical. Dan finds ways to use him in both the run game and pass game. But he's elite. He's first-round talent. There's no question about that. And just a lot of my history in the SEC, I don't know that there's been a guy like that. Just he's receiver tight end in one.
Thanks, Kirby. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Next is Mike Griffith of the AJC.
Kirby, can you update Jordan Davis? I know you said day to day. Any other updates on the injury front, and also just a guy like Pitts? It looks like last year you threw a lot of bodies at him, a lot of different plans. Who are some of the names that we'll see circling Pitts on the field Saturday?
Yeah, Jordan's still day to day. We're hopeful he's able to go. He obviously yesterday we didn't practice, so there's not a lot there. But we're trying to get him back, even if it's just a role. We think he could play a role in the game, and hopeful that he's able to do that. And then in terms of Pitts, I mean, it's not like we're throwing people at him. You can't do that because they put him in different spots. And when you play defenses we play, I can't determine where he's going to be at. They're going to determine where he's at. So there's some things we can match up on. There's some things we can't. So it's not a matter of, we're going to put this guy in to cover him, we're going to put this guy in to cover him. It depends on where he is. And then if we have a chance to get a player we think matches up better against him, then we try to do that. But you can't do that in all calls.
I mean, did Richard get released from the hospital? There's been some reports. Do you know? Can you confirm those reports?
Yeah, he was released. He came over and was in the training room yesterday and was able to get some different treatment and things and some rehab.
Thank you.
Next is Lamar Weiser of the Athens Better Herald.
Hey, Kirby. With Richard out, how do you feel about how your safeties will be able to hold up against this Florida passing attack?
Well, we've got some guys that have played between Lewis and Chris. Chris has had to play quite a bit. He got to play last week. He got to play the Auburn game, I guess it was. And like I told you, I value practice a lot. So the kid has worked really hard and played a lot in practices. And then we've got other guys that have repped at safety as well, between Major, Brenny, Tyreek, that have all practiced at safety so that we have depth there and the ability to play. So I'm looking forward to see those guys play. They got a great challenge. I mean, it's an opportunity is what I see it as, to go out and play against one of the most explosive offenses in the country and get a chance to go out and play.
And with George Pickens, how's he coming along? What exactly is he dealing with injury-wise? And what are you looking from him in the second half of the season to kind of raise his game?
Upper extremity injury that he's, he practiced the other day, and like I said, we didn't get to do much yesterday, so he did what he did the week before. It's just going to be a pain tolerance deal, and we're hopefully he's able to play. And we need him to be at his best for us to be where we need to be offensively, and that's what we're hoping to do the second half of the season.
Thank you.
Next is Adam Rittenberg of ESPN.
Hey, Kirby, I know you've faced Coach Mullen's offenses over the years. I'm just wondering if there's anything especially different or unique about this year's group at Florida that'll be a challenge for you guys on Saturday.
I don't know if it's different. The challenges are usually based on where his strengths are and where our strengths are. And every time you play against Coach Mullen offense, there's different strengths, whether it's Dak Prescott or it's an elite back, elite receivers. It's always, kind of something different. And you try to play to your strengths and not always to his. But that varies for us defensively every year. What are our strengths and what are we able to take advantage of? So this year it'll be different, obviously, because we have different players in on defense in terms of our injuries, and they're not exactly the same. They're not exactly the same as they were last year.